So in my first video, I ranked the best physical characters in Honkai Star Rail, and I started with physical because, well, it was the very first element we got in the game. So now it only feels right to move on to ice. And come on, when you think of ice in Star Rail, there's a very good chance one of the first characters that pop in your head is Mars 7. Our pink-haired queen has basically become the face of ice for a lot of players. Honestly, fair enough. But for this list, we're putting favorites to the side for a second because this ranking is based on in-game value. I'm talking about how these characters perform in the modes of Memory of Chaos, Pure Fiction, and Apocalyptic Shadow. I screwed that word up. So this is not who I like best list. This is who is actually giving your account the most value right now. Ugh, that sucks. And today, we're counting down the best 5 ice characters in Honkai Star Rail. Coming in at number 5, we have Madame Herta. Of course, Herta was making this list. There's no way she wasn't showing up. Herta is the Ice Erudition 5-star, and her main role is a DPS, especially in fights where there's a lot of enemies on the field. Her kit evolves around building interpretation and then using that to power stronger attacks with solid multi-target pressure. Basically, she's one of those units that just wants to be surrounded by enemies so she can kick everyone's ass. She loves being surrounded by enemies because that's what she is the most comfortable at. She wants crowded waves and she wants content where she could just do that all the time, which is why she's amazing in Pure Fiction. When the game gives her room to do what she wants, she gonna let out a lot of pressure very quickly and just make wave clearing way better than normal. And she also got that big brain genius that's but terrifying in combat strategy, which basically is her. Now, with that being said, there's a reason why she's at number 5. And that reason is basically the fact that she needs contact that has a lot of enemies. The less enemies there are, the less dominant she is. I mean, she puts out power, but not as much as if there was a lot of people. And she also adds a lot for your team. Sometimes the pacing is not as smooth and the fight does not let her ramp up as natural. And sometimes you can feel like she wants the stage to cooperate with her a little more than the characters above her. She's definitely strong and in the right context she's amazing, but compared to everybody else, she's just a little bit dependent on the matchup. So Herta lands at number 5 because she's absolutely powerful, but she's not quite as universally viable as if all the other characters above her. At number 4, we got the Remembrance Trailblazer. And I'm not gonna lie, this one's just cool. There's always something fun about seeing a Trailblazer get a new form and actually become a serious option in the meta. And the Ice Remembrance version absolutely earns that spot here. The Trailblazer is a support, not a traditional carry, and the core of the kit evolves around using Mem plus the ability to help others deal true damage. Right away, that makes them feel different from other characters because they're not here to just throw out raw damage and call it a day. They're here to make the whole team function better, and that's where a lot of their value come from. Trailblazer helps with the tempo, it helps with the team momentum and create better damage windows for the rest of the squad. They have that kind of kit where once you actually see it working as in the real team, you start to understand why people rate them so high. And one of the nicest things about the character is that they feel accessible while still being genuinely strong. This is not one of those cases where people say they're good because they're free, with the little asterisk in the background. No, this version of the Trailblazer is actually just strong, period. Now alone gives them a value to a lot of players. Now while they're at number 4 and not a bit higher, a lot of that comes down to the fact that their biggest impact is team-based rather than individual and overwhelming. They don't have a lot of personal power behind them, and that's not the main attraction anyway. Their value, however, could feel a little bit awkward depending on what team you're building and how turns line up in an actual fight. And there's also that tax that you have when you use the Trailblaze anyway, where you can't use any other form, just this one. While it's not the end of the world, it is a factor. So while Trailblazer is absolutely powerful and absolutely worth taking seriously, the top 3 is just a bit cleaner, have a way more oppressive appearance, and is a bit more universal game changing in their current roles. So number 4 goes to the Remembrance Trailblaze. He's a strong support, great value, very cool mechanics, and honestly one of the nicest surprises in the Ice roster. At number 3, we got Ruan Mei. And let's be honest, at this point, Ruan Mei being amazing is basically old news. She's been one of the most viable supports in the game for a long time, and she's been hanging around near the top because her kit is just that good. Ruan Mei is an Ice Harmony 5-star, and her role is just pure support. She gives your team weakness, break efficiency, speed, and all-type rest pin. And that's one of those buzz packages where every part just sounds useful immediately. More speed helps your team feel smoother, more break efficiency helps pressure enemies harder, and all type rest pin is the kind of thing basically every damage dealer is happy to see. And this is why Ruan Mei has always felt so easy to slot into teams. Does not need a ton of babysitting, she does not need your whole account built around her, and she does not work with only one type of team. She just shows up and starts making all your teams better, and that kind of value ages really well. She's a type of character where even if a newer unit shows up with a flashier mechanic, Ruan Mei still stays relevant because she's just that fundamental useful. She supports damage, pacing, and break all at once, and that keeps her hard to replace. Now the reason she's number 3 or not 1 or 2 is not because she fell off, it's simply the fact that the other 2 on this list basically are more explosive or even more central to the current Ice meta. Ruan Mei is still one of the safest and best investments you can basically make, but the other 2 have a little bit more of that this character is taking over the room type of presence right now. She's also more of an amplifier than a centerpiece, so if anybody is looking for a more flashier Ice unit or one that instantly feels like the main star of the team, Ruan Mei is not always going to give that same vibe. She's more elegant than loud. So Ruan Mei takes number 3 because she's still one of the best Ice characters in the game, one of the best supports in the game, and one of the easiest characters to justify building if you care about in-game performance. At number 2, we have Cyrene, and this is where the list starts getting scary. Cyrene is an Ice Remembrance 5-star, and she's also a support, but she's not the kind of support that just quietly sits back and tosses out buffs. Cyrene feels like one of those characters that actively changes the paces of the entire fight. Her kit evolves around a zone, interacts with allies' ultimates, and adding true damage pressure to the team. So when she gets going, she does not just make your team look better, she actually makes it more dangerous, and that's why she's this high up. There's something really powerful about a support who helps create those big momentum swings. Cyrene can make damage windows feel nastier, could push your team's offense further, and could turn already strong allies into even bigger threats. She also feels very modern in the way her kit is built. You can tell this is not some generic support design. This was an intentional offense synergy in how she enables the team. And that makes her feels more of a premium option the moment you look at what she's doing, which is actually true because you basically need to get her to, well, I believe E2 in order to get her ultimate faster, because if you don't, it takes a very long time, but once she gets going, she feels amazing and it actually works really well. So why is she number 2 and not 1? Maybe because the character above her feels more competitive as the current best Ice unit overall. Cyrene is amazing, and honestly if someone personally put her number 1, I wouldn't really be shocked. She is that strong, but number 1 in my list is a bit more overwhelming dominance when it comes to the overall picture. Still, Cyrene is still one of the best support characters in the game. So Cyrene gets number 2. She's powerful, she's premium, and she kinda has that kit that makes strong teams feel even more unfair. So this is my ranking for the top 5 best ice characters in Honkai Star Rail. Now let me know what your list look like, because I already know somebody's gonna want Juan made higher, somebody's gonna defend Herder with their life, and somebody out there is definitely gonna say I should put Mark 7 on the list because she just carried them throughout the entire early game.